Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sebastian, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today, we got some kind of show for you guys here today. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. This is going to be a show, and I'm not even sure what direction we're going to go in today. As you guys know right now, Deion Sanders and his team are probably the biggest story in all of sports, at least in the United States. Bigger than the NFL, bigger than the NBA. Well, there's no NBA right now, but you understand the point that I'm making. Any major news sports show is starting off their show talking about Deion Sanders and his Colorado Buffaloes, which means that they're a pretty big deal. Now, what happened? Just this last Saturday was a pretty big game. A lot of fanfare. A lot of celebrities were there. Even Lil Wayne came out to introduce the Colorado Buffaloes. Pretty big game. But in that third quarter, no. I think it was in the first half. Yeah, in the first half, excuse me. Henry Blackburn, the player from the Colorado State Rams, had a vicious hit on wide receiver Travis Hunter. He hit him, cleared him out, I think it was even on an incompletion. And it looked to all of us that he was trying to send him a message. In the aftermath of that play, various people started chiming in. These are some people that have played in the NFL at a professional level. People like Keyshawn Johnson, Michael Irvin, Richard Sherman, and other people. And we covered this story yesterday. A lot of them felt that was unnecessary. And some people felt like, or suggested rather, that they did that to send not only that player, Travis Hunter, but the entire team a message. Fantastic. Now, excuse me, I'm dealing with a bit of a cold here. Excuse me. In the midst of all of this, Deion Sanders has been going back and forth doing various pressers, speaking to the media, talking his talk. Some people have loved it, some people have been indifferent, and some people have flat out hated what Deion Sanders has been doing and the way he's been going about doing those things. One of those people is a public figure, and his name is Jason Whitlock. Now, Jason Whitlock has produced a series of shows discussing his disdain for what Deion Sanders represents. He has questioned his intentions. He's questioned, him as a man, comparing him to a female TikToker. And he's even questioned his religious foundation, which I thought was just too much, right? But of course, there's some people that love that. So Deion and these guys went out, they won the game, and various people like myself were pretty much calling out Jason Whitlock for his excessive attacks on Deion Sanders. And I knew that it was going to be a matter of time before Jason Whitlock decided to respond publicly to Deion Sanders. So what happened? He released a show just yesterday on his channel. I believe it's called Fearless with Jason Whitlock. And in this show, it's about an hour and 26-minute long show. And the thumbnail alone is called Fearless with Jason Whitlock, and you have Coach Scam. And then he goes, Coach Prime and Colorado are new Coach K and Duke. Privilege. What did he write? Privilege entitled Easy to Hate. So I started listening to it. The reason I started listening to it was to gain a better understanding of Jason Whitlock's reasoning. I know of Jason Whitlock. He used to work on FS1 on a show called, I think it was Speak for Yourself. And he has some pretty strong takes, but I didn't really pay too much attention to him. And to be fair, back then we weren't even covering sports to begin with, but I definitely knew who he was. Yesterday, when he released this show, I'm one of these people that when I listen to these shows, I can be listening to them in the background, But the thing I'm judging is the reasoning. I'm paying attention to the reasoning, the arguments these guys are using, and I dissect it at a very high level. It's just one of my gifts. I'm not being funny. It's just one of my gifts. So I was listening to understand if this guy was going to make any sense. I wanted to understand his philosophy. I wanted to understand what really his message was, and to understand if there was any flaws in his thinking, and whether or not he was trying to push an agenda. This is what I was trying to understand. And it was a pretty long show, as I said, about an hour and a half. But I decided to hone in on just one part, right? On just one part, because we can't cover the entirety of his show. But there was a part in his show where he was discussing the Henry Blackburn hit on Travis Hunter. And Jason Whitlock said that the hit, although it was a bit excessive, it's not anything that's out of the ordinary. Matter of fact, I don't even want to explain his logic. I want you guys to listen to it. What we're going to do is we're going to play exactly what he had to say about that incident on the field. And then we're going to come back and continue on with the show. Take a listen to that.
So, and I don't know what Michael Irvin and Keyshawn Johnson said immediately after that. And so hopefully what they should have said is like, let's pump the brakes here on demonizing Henry Blackburn. Yes, in today's modern football, that was a late illegal hit. In today's modern football, commonplace in Michael Irvin's era, that's a commonplace play. That was not some over-the-top, super vicious hit. That was in the quarterback position, they used to call it a delivery sack, but it was kind of a delivery hit that safeties used to execute all the time. It was not a super vicious blow. What didn't use his helmet, didn't use his shoulder pad. But I'm not even trying to defend Henry Blackburn. Should have been flagged, and we've seen guys tossed for worse. But that's not the kind of hit that, according to reports now, he has a lacerated kidney and is going to miss 3 weeks. I think Deion has announced that he's going to miss 3 weeks. It's not the kind of hit that generally leads to that kind of injury. It was not that vicious of a hit. Only in today's modern world is that seen as a super vicious hit. If he had had the football and it got hit that way, no one would have thought it was a particularly hard hit that should lead to injury. And so no one's being a journalist here and saying, hold on, if he takes that hit in the game, no one bats an eye, no one thinks he should be that hurt. No one is sitting there thinking lacerated kidney, out 3 weeks. So it leads me to say, what don't we know? This kid had only played 8 games at Jackson State last year. He's injury prone. Why did that routine hit lacerate a kidney? Did he come into the game banged up?
You heard what he had to say. When he first said that, I was thinking to myself, I said, this guy can't be serious. He can't be serious. But then I started to realize, I'm like, okay, he's saying one thing, but what's the message he's trying to convey? There are two things happening. He's saying something, but the thing that he's saying, apart from the point he's making, he's also trying to convey a message. And as I was listening to him, I began to understand his message. The guy clearly says it wasn't a vicious hit. That is being overblown. Meanwhile, you had professional athletes who played in the NFL and the era in the past saying that that was an excessive hit, number one. Number two, if the hit wasn't excessive, why was he rushed to the hospital and couldn't play in the second half and is now slated to be out for the next 3 weeks? Explain that to me. If the hit in fact wasn't excessive, why is he out? Why is he inactive right now? There are two things happening. Either the hit was excessive and therefore he can't play, or you believe that somehow he's faking it. He's overblowing it. So he wanted to go to the hospital for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but that makes no sense. Do you know why? Because he tried to play in the second half and he couldn't. He couldn't. So which is it? Is he faking it or did it really happen? According to Jason Whitlock, it's not that big a deal. So why did he go to the hospital? He's saying, well, the reason, if you listen carefully, he went down had nothing to do with the fact that he got hit that hard. Although we all understand that he wouldn't even be going to the hospital had he not gotten hit by that guy. But we're gonna forego that. He's saying then that it's not really the guy's fault that hit him. It's his fault because he's not durable. Not because he hit him, but it's his fault because he wasn't durable. What kind of ass backward logic is this? Seriously. What kind of ass backwards way of thinking is it? You see, this is what happens when you try to push agendas and you're not being straightforward. But it doesn't even end there. Here's another point I want to point out to you. There's another point I want to point out to you. We want to play the second clip for you guys of him talking about how Deion Sanders made himself a target. And then we're going to continue on with the show. Take a listen to that there.
Let me go to the extra point, the extra layer of this. Deion put a target on his team's back. Everything Deion has been doing has been putting a target on his team's back. Deion has been running out, and I'm talking about since February, when he held the team meeting and told or January, whenever he went to Colorado and held the team meeting and told everybody, hit the transfer portal. I'm bringing Louis Vuitton here. I want 4- and 5-star kids here. I want the best here. When Deion did that, that's the process of putting a target on your team's back. When Deion came out week 1 after beating TCU and saying, oh, I'm about to get comfortable up in here, and everybody's threatening, frustrated, a black coach leading the locker room with 75% black players. Deion racialized this whole thing and put a target on his team's back. And so if you're wondering why Henry Blackburn and those white offensive linemen and ended up the black defensive end for Colorado State, all these guys that got all these unsportsmanlike conduct penalties trying to take little cheap shots at Colorado, where's that animus coming from? Again, I've seen this a million times. I've seen poor, working class, disrespected black kids go compete against the entitled, privileged, well-funded white kids and do exactly that. Oh, you think you better than us. You think we ain't nothing. You think we're beneath you. I'll show you. Seen it a million times. I've been one of them kids. And so now you can't see it because you're so blinded by your racial idolatry, racism, that you can't see that Deion has done this to white kids.
I want to point out something to you, now that you've heard both clips. Just to show that Jason Whitlock is playing a game with you people and the people that are not smart enough to pick up on what he's doing. On the one hand, the man said that there was nothing excessive about that hit. There was no malicious intent behind that hit. It was just an actual football play. Yeah, it may have been a little bit excessive, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. There's no real big need to make a big deal out of it. And ultimately, the hit wasn't so bad. And it was the guy really that because he didn't have such a durable body, it was his fault that he got hurt, essentially. So there was no malicious intent. No one was out to get these guys. But in the very next clip, he says, because of all of the talking, because of the way that these guys have been carrying themselves, they are making themselves a target. I have a question to ask to Jason Whitlock and people that support this line of thinking. Which one is it? Are they being targeted or are they not? Help me figure it out. Because within less than a 10-minute span, the guy just gave two opposing views. On the one hand, he's saying that there was nothing out of the ordinary. It was just a football play. Let's move on. And on the other hand, he's saying, if you look at the way these guys have been carrying themselves, if you look at the things that the coach has been saying, obviously, you're going to make yourself a target. You're going to make people want to come after you. He even then related it back to himself. I used to be one of these kids. What are you saying? As I was watching him talk in the video, I was looking at his face to understand whether or not he was sincere. I think a part of him believes what he's saying. And that's scary. I think a part of him wholeheartedly believes the words that are coming out of his mouth. I do. It's almost as if when you psych yourself out, you can get yourself to believe anything. It's like a Jedi mind trick you pull on yourself. To a certain extent, he believes what he's saying. At least that's what I think. Here's my larger issue with Jason Whitlock, and I finally figured it out after listening to him today. I finally figured it out. Here's the truth. Now, this may offend some people. It is your 100% right to feel offended. No one is saying you shouldn't feel offended. If you feel offended, so be it. Voice your opinion. Like the video, dislike the video. Subscribe, unsubscribe. That's totally your choice. Here's what I'm understanding about Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock, first of all, is shielding or protecting one group's feelings by attacking another group so that another group doesn't feel bad, so that the first group doesn't feel bad. What am I discussing? I'm going to say it in plain English here. Jason Whitlock is a conservative. You can go on his channel under every video description. It says it there. Support conservatives. It's right there. Is something wrong with being a conservative? No. Is something wrong with being a liberal? No. Again, I'm no one's judge. There are a lot of conservative precincts that I agree with, especially as a Christian. There's some liberal philosophies that I agree with without demonizing either side. That's childish. I don't demonize people. That's not my job. That's what Jason Whitlock does. That's how he earns his keep. He targets one group, creates another group of supporters, and that's how he goes about his business. We're talking about serious issues now. What I've understood is this. Jason Whitlock wants to spare some, because not all conservatives are like him, some in his conservative base, spare their feelings. They shouldn't feel bad. They shouldn't feel this way. They shouldn't feel that way. Don't worry, I got you. No need to feel bad about anything. No need to feel guilty about anything. No need to hold yourself accountable about anything. What I'll do is, I got your back, and I'll tear that other group down. That is essentially what Jason Whitlock does in a nutshell. Let me tell you the fundamental difference between a person like him and a person like me. For those of you who have been following this channel, we have had various constituencies that have disagreed with us on a range of issues. I've had blacks disagree with me. I have had whites disagreed with me, especially with that Kyrie Irving thing, trying to say that what he did was anti-Semitic. I said no. I've had different groups agree and disagree with me. One thing people understand when they watch this platform is that I'm telling you what I think. I'm not telling you that from a self-righteous standpoint, saying that my views are right, I'm all right, and you're all wrong. No. I'm giving you my opinion. And if you get offended in the process, I hope at least you give me some credit for being honest with you, for respecting my audience enough to tell you what I think. And if it risks turning some people off, so be it. At least I'm being honest with you. Jason Whitlock is not doing that. In some case, he's trying to spare some whites their feelings by attacking blacks excessively. For you to say with a straight face that they're trying to demonize, what's the gentleman's name? Demonize Henry Blackburn, apart from the threats that he's been receiving, which is absolutely ridiculous. And that, but not just as some people are crazy when they go that far. We're talking about, when I'm talking about demonize, I'm talking about what happened on the football field in terms of calling out that play. What has happened beyond that is absolute madness. And some people cannot contain themselves. They just can't. To be going that far with those type of threats, that's madness. But in this particular case, I've noticed that that's what this guy's doing. And at this point, he's saying anything. The point he made in those sound bites that I played for you were 100% incoherent. They were incoherent. He had two ideas that were totally diametrically opposed with one another. The one hand, he's saying that no one targeted these guys. No one is out for these guys. It's just football. And on the other hand, he's saying you're turning yourself into a target. What are we discussing? My final point on this, and whoever gets offended, again, that's your right, but I'm just going to say this. You know, I get sick and tired of people like this trying to use religion to demonize people and castigate people and attack people. You are nobody's judge. Let me make it clear to you. You're no one's judge. You're a Christian like me. You can save no one. You can't even save yourself. Jesus Christ, God in heaven, is the one that can save people. So who are you to be running around pointing people out, pointing this Christian, pointing that Christian? What are you talking about? What are you feeling like that you can go around and do it? Who are you? Are you a pastor? No, let's figure it out. Are you a prophet? Are you a prophet? There are people that go to church every single Sunday. You don't know what they're facing. You don't know what they're facing. You don't know the challenges that they're facing. Just because you see somebody sitting in church, you don't know that they're going through some things, that they're still looking for the Lord's mercy. And then here you come, somebody sitting in a congregation like all the other sinners, like the rest of us who are imperfect except the one in heaven. And you got some jackass in the corner over here trying to cast judgment on people. As a Christian, I don't believe. Who cares what you believe? Who honestly cares? On Judgment Day, nobody's going to be looking for you. You're going to be standing right there trying to save yourself, answering for your own sins, like everybody else, if that's what you believe, by the way. So for you to take this position, what kind of self-righteous position is it? I'm not talking about religious Christians saying, hey, listen, I don't like this thing that I'm seeing being perpetuated, what's the word? I can't even say, propagated throughout society, things against our kids. I understand that that's a totally different thing. That's a totally different thing, and I side with you guys on that. But in this particular issue, about judging people, you're no one's judge. You're no one's judge. No one. No one knows what's in your heart. No one knows what you do in your free time. No one knows this. No one knows this. No one knows if you're a gambler, and nobody knows this. And it's no one's business. But to go around and do this self-righteous, walking around with your cross trying to send people to hell, who are you? You're just another person like the rest of us out here. And as a Christian, it bothers me. You weren't bothered enough to sit next to Brett Favre. That didn't bother you, huh? Someone accused about stealing from the poor. That didn't bother you then. But now you all of a sudden you want to get bothered. I can't stand Christians like this. As a Christian speaking. As a Christian speaking. It's an absolute joke. But something is wrong with this dude. I've finally figured it out. Your whole angle is negativity towards Deion Sanders. I went back 4 months ago. You were already. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Why you do it, I don't know. Oh, well, I do know. I do know why you do this. It's a shame. You're so desperate for love from people, you're afraid to say what's really going on. I don't care. That's the fundamental difference between you and I. And guess what? They're whites and black that respect my honesty. If you go through some of the comments, they'll say, I don't always agree with you. I don't always agree with you, but at least you're honest. At least you're honest. I say what I see without insulting and disrespecting people and sending people to hell the way you're doing it. You're still on this gravy train? I'm bothered by it. We don't even know if you... Let me just leave it right there. Anyway, guys, these are my thoughts and opinions. Whatever you guys think on this matter, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you on the next show. Peace.